Hi, my name's Nikita. I'm a skills champion and alumni member for World Skills UK, and I also work alongside our international teams as a coach. Today we have Kimani with us. Kimmy has a massive YouTube following of over 156,000 subscribers, and not to mention her career route through an apprenticeship-based learning. Who better to tell you than the woman herself? So, hi Kimmy, it is lovely to meet you at long last. Would you mind telling us a wee bit about yourself?
Hi, really lovely to meet you too. I'm Kimmy. I'm a content creator, like you've just heard. And recently, I just finished an apprenticeship and I was actually very honoured to be voted as Apprentice of the Year.
So, a lot of young people have been coming with questions to do with apprenticeship based learning, how to get into career paths. Would you mind telling us a wee bit about your career journey and how you got to where you are today?
My career journey is a bit of a long one already, even though I haven't been working for a very long time. But my original plan was to go straight into university, graduate in psychology, and become a psychologist. But I've always been very creative and enjoyed the creative process of video editing and YouTube. So just before my third year, I kind of dropped a little bombshell on my mum and told her I'm leaving university to go into acting school, which she was very, very shocked about, but very supportive. And then
Brilliant.
from there, I started creating content online. And not long after, me and my partner started creating content together online. And through the content that we were making, we had a chance to meet quite a lot of influential people who work within education. And that kind of made me realize how much I wanted to follow a path and do something in the education sector because I love working with young people and then talking to them about their options, careers, and stuff like that. So when a job opportunity came by to work at a college and be a student support coach, I was all over it. And once I got the job, that's actually when they told me I was going to do an apprenticeship for the job. And I had no idea what an apprenticeship was. I was just like, oh my gosh, does that mean you're going to give me half the salary that's stated on the application? Because I didn't know. I just had that old mentality thinking that apprenticeships are just like hands-on jobs, electrician, plumbers, and they pay you like £2 an hour. And I was not down for any of that. But luckily, my my initial thoughts and perceptions of what apprenticeships were completely wrong. And then going through the whole process actually really inspired me to start advocating for apprenticeships and to start educating young people on what apprenticeships are. So that's my journey summarized very quickly.
I think it just shows you that the perception of apprenticeships are still the same. I think, as I was
Mm,
growing up, it was very much, if you were doing an apprenticeship, it was in a trade, it was always in, the likes of plumbing and electronics and that sort of thing. So a lot of young people, I think, still have that misperception. So tell me a wee bit
mm.
about your apprenticeship. So when you started your apprenticeship, how did it go for you? What was it like?
I recently just finished my apprenticeship. I finished it this year in March. But it was an 18-month apprenticeship, but I think I finished it maybe just under that. But I did business and administration, and it was all very new for me. And a lot of
Hmm.
people who know me in education. I'm good at it, but we don't go hand in hand. So them telling me I was going to do an apprenticeship, there's going to be exam, there's going to be learning. Oh, I was totally put off. But throughout the whole process, I was so supported. I had so much guidance, and then I realized the actual learning part is so connected to the job experience part that you're doing. It's practically just writing up about what you're doing on your day-to-day basis, what you're learning on the job. So it was actually all very easy and all very relative. So for me, I just found it as such a positive experience. I don't know about other people, but I think it's the whole when you go into a new job, sometimes you feel like you're thrown into the deep end. You're expected to catch up on everything very quickly and understand everything quickly. Otherwise, a
Yeah.
company is losing money while you're behind. Whereas an apprenticeship, because you're learning and they want to train you and really help you understand how this job works and everything that goes
Hmm.
into it. They don't expect you to know everything. So you're kind of just led into the job very slowly, which I really enjoyed because it allowed me to understand every single element of a job and not rush little things and catch every detail because I'm a very detail orientated sort of person. And the learning, because it's in small classes and it's with other apprentices, you're not going in rooms with other students, it's just other apprentices who
Hmm.
understand what you're going through. That was so catered to us and our roles and what we do that that whole process just became fun. So for me, it was
Hmm.
a very positive experience.
I think exactly what you were saying there is 100% right. There's a lot of young people who still have those misperceptions of apprenticeships, and as you said, it has to be something that you enjoy, and it can lead into so many different opportunities. For the young people out there who I suppose are considering going into an apprenticeship or maybe don't know enough about an apprenticeship, what advice would you give them for starting an apprenticeship?
The best thing to do is if they're still in school or college, um, it's to ask. I think every school or college has a careers and guidance officer or someone who just looks after, who talks to students about careers. So the best thing to do is talk to your guidance counselor about the different careers in apprenticeships and what apprenticeships are available. And now a lot of schools actually have apprenticeship teams who are there to talk to you specifically about apprenticeships. So I think the first step would be to just talk to them about apprenticeships. And you can also go on the government website. Is it apprentice.gov.uk? I think so. I think it's apprentice.gov.uk. You can just go on it and look at the apprenticeships available. And on the website, it actually gives you a bit more information about what apprenticeships are and what they offer.
Okay, so going back just before you started your apprenticeship, did you ever think about work placements, or I suppose whenever you were thinking way back in the day into psychology, was there any sort of work placements that you went for, or do you think work placements are ideal for young people who are looking to get into apprenticeships?
Work placements are great if you're still studying and you're hoping to stay more on the academic route, I feel. But for me, I wasn't really looking for a work placement because I was in that point in my career where I just really wanted more of a job and something stable. But I think when you're younger and you're still in education, work placements are great because they give you an experience and it's almost like a little taster of whether that's the career you actually want to go into. And for me, if I looked for anything, I think it was more towards internships rather than work placements. Like during the academic break, like when we used to have long summer breaks at university, I was just looking for internships, but I was looking for internships outside of psychology just to get little tasters of different industries to make sure, is it
Hmm.
really psychology I want to go into or is it something else? So I think if you're still weighing out your options and you're still trying to figure out what you like and what you don't like, or if you really want to know whether that's the career you want to go into, I think work placements and internships are amazing because it's just a little taste of what it's going to be like when you go into that career.
I suppose even talking about internships, so a lot of young people are obviously, as you do, think about money and looking about getting paid. Are there many internships out there that you can get paid for or have some sort of income for? I suppose within your job role, can you tell me a wee bit about the job role that you're doing at the minute?
At the moment, I work as a student support coach at Milton Keynes College. And what this means is just getting students involved in what's happening in and around the college. So we plan events throughout the whole year around key dates. And one thing which I love, and I run this section of it, is student voice, which gives students a voice
Yeah.
to shape their experiences at the college. So we have all the student council meetings where they give feedback around their courses, around what's going on in the college, what they like, what they don't like, and it's just giving them power to decide on how they want things to run in the college because at the end of the day that's who we're catering for.
Well, this is it. And I think that's such an important thing because there's a lot of, obviously, throughout the years, you see young people feel like, oh, I don't have much of a choice. I don't have, much of a voice when it does come to my learning and my career choice. And even so, I suppose going back to careers advice, what was the sort of careers advice you had when you were in school? Were you encouraged for apprenticeship based learning or BTECs, or were you very much pushed towards the likes of university?
For me, I was pushed more towards university. I think for me, growing up, even in high school and going to sixth form, you never really heard much about apprenticeships. I think apprenticeships are only presented as an option for students who weren't doing so well academically, but that's not what they are because apprenticeships come in all levels. But for me, it was just never an option that was presented to me. So I was only shown university as the only route to be successful, and I was constantly pushed by teachers, my mom. They were all just pushing me to university because I think that's what they know. And I think that's where we need to bridge that gap of educating schools on what apprenticeships are, as well as parents and students, because that's where people aren't signing up for apprenticeships. People have all these misconceptions because no one's actually educating them on how much apprenticeships have changed.
Have you got any final tips for young people who are sort of out there at the minute, who maybe don't know what career path to go towards, who maybe don't know what they want to do, who maybe, are academic, but they don't want to go down the university route?
Biggest advice would be to take risks now because you can't afford to take them when you're older. Right now, when you're financially dependent on parents, or maybe a little bit financially dependent on yourself, it's the best time to take risks and explore all the different options that are in front of you so you can understand what you want, and so you can actually go into a career that you love rather than one that was picked out for you, as well as say yes to every opportunity, because every opportunity provides experience, and all those experiences help shape where you're going. Because for me, I've had so many different experiences that I didn't think mattered, but I kept saying yes, yes, yes. But they helped me get my job because I had that experience working with young people. I had the creator, just YouTube experience, knowing how to connect with people online helped me get my job. So every little experience counts. So get as much experience as you can and aim to develop yourself. So even when you're just sitting around at home, there's courses online that you can do, just little courses just to up your skills, because at the end of the day, employers are looking for just one tiny thing that separates you from someone else.
That is such amazing advice. I'm so glad that you're on with us today. But unfortunately, that is all that we have time for today. But thank you so much, Kimmy, for joining me. You've been such a delight to talk to and really insightful. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of young people out there who are just going to be over the moon to listen to you speak and to obviously to understand the world of apprenticeships and obviously your YouTube career too. But thank you very much for joining me. Today we have LJ with us from Youth Employment UK. Now, Youth Employment UK are experts when it comes to the complex landscape that face young people today. So I'm really interested to hear what you've got to say. LJ, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a wee idea of who you are and what you do.
My name is J Rawlings. I'm the CEO of Youth Employment UK. We are an organisation that's a not-for-profit that was set up in 2011 to help tackle youth unemployment. So we've been working really hard this year as the numbers of young people not in education, employment or training have started to rise because of COVID.
What advice would you give them to really kickstart their careers or, to really start their journey with their career?
Oh gosh, it's such a big question because there's so many different things. It depends what career you want to do. It all depends on your own individual's journey, where you are now and where you're going. I think for us, we talk a lot to young people about, developing themselves professionally, thinking about the skills that employers are looking for, the soft skills, communication, teamwork, problem solving. Think about their wider aspirations and think about how they might get from A to B, and getting from A to B might involve going on a different path. You might end up coming at it from lots of different angles because life changes all the time, and there's lots of different opportunities that can present themselves. So not being too fixed, but making sure that you're making the best of yourself and the opportunities that come along. And I think that's what we talk a lot to young people about, is just taking ownership of that journey.
But I suppose nowadays with a lot more interest in like apprenticeships and internships, and a question that sort of creeps up quite a lot is, I suppose, the importance of having internships regarding getting into a placement. Is it the end of the world? Is it a hard thing if a young person doesn't get into an internship before starting their career journey, or is there ways around it?
I'm a bit cautious about the word internship because actually what employers are looking for is work experience or experience. And so that can take many forms. And an internship is just one form. They seem to come and go in popularity, but actually the important piece here is experience. An experience that you can evidence then on your CV or job applications, that you've had some sort of experience that is relevant, or you can demonstrate how it's taught you the skills that employer is looking for, or experience that builds your network. All of those types of things are the opportunities we should be looking for. Now, you can find that type of experience in volunteering. The skills champions who volunteer their time are doing incredible things that are building up their skills, their networks, through that experience that they have with World Skills. We have a volunteer program that very much does the same. So there are lots of different ways, and I wouldn't be hooked on the internship piece because I think employers favour them less now anyway. I think it is just about seeing that a candidate who's applying for a job has had a broader experience, has got, has had an opportunity to really develop skills, and that's what they're looking for.
I suppose even talking about a career path, what sort of skills are sort of high in demand in the job market at present? So what sort of career paths are out there that are really in high demand?
I mean, it is ever changing. We've seen this year that COVID has had a massive impact on some of the sectors that were really prominent last year that are less prominent this year because of COVID. But that it's also brought out some really incredible sectors that have just shown how resilient they are to changes in the economy. So the healthcare professionals, my goodness, they have become the heroes of this pandemic, right? And we need more healthcare professionals in lots of different roles. But we've also seen the food industry, the food manufacturing, because of course we're all cooking at home more than we've ever done, and we're learning new things and new recipes. So food manufacturers have been so busy. You can remember a time when we couldn't get flour because we were all baking. So that manufacturing process, they're really developing the way they transport goods, the way that they make sure that they're sustainable and their operations are sustainable. So the engineering and manufacturing plays into that. So actually there is a lot of growth. There's a lot of new careers out there. But also I think something that's really interesting is the type of entrepreneurship that we've seen over the last 9 months. New businesses or businesses rethinking the way that they change and how they serve customers. So I think it's just about, there are lots of opportunities, lots of sectors are going to grow more so than perhaps were predicted earlier. So learning to be flexible and adaptable, learning to be able to read the labour market, so you can go, actually, you might have wanted a career in marketing, in leisure and tourism, but actually maybe a career in marketing in the food manufacturing industry might be something how you have to adapt because that there's a growing sector versus a sector that struggled.
Thank you so much, LJ. That information is so invaluable to young people, and I'm sure there's a lot of young people out there who'll really appreciate this sort of feedback and guidance. That's all really that's left for me to say, but thank you so much for taking the time to basically answer all our questions.
Just a little final thought from me. It is tough. It's going to be tough out there for young people, but just be reassured there's loads of organisations like ours working really hard to help young people at this time. So do reach out and get in touch with Youth Employment UK if there's more that we can help with. Thank you so much, Nikita. It's great to talk to you today.
Thanks so much, and hopefully I'll get to see you next year. Now, today we have a member of our World Skills team with us, Gavin Miller. Nice to have you with us today. Could you tell us a wee bit about yourself?
Hi, so I'm Gavin Miller. I'm the Head of Corporate Partnerships at World Skills UK. And that means I work with all of our exciting partners to inspire, get the message out to lots of young people, and so that we can develop young people to the skills needed for industry.
I suppose just to get kick-started, what advice would you give to young people who are starting out their careers today?
Well, I think as you've seen from this event here, that there's so much opportunity out there. We've heard from partners like BAE Systems and Leonardo's, and particularly as we're coming out of this recession and this pandemic, that actually skills of the future are going to be really needed as we progress forward. For me, there were three key things to make sure you do, and they are to make sure you're informed, make sure you're open-minded, and make sure you develop your skills. And so when it comes to being informed, do more of what you're doing now, attend events like this, and make sure you speak to as many people and get advice from as many sources as possible, and actually reach out to organizations to understand what is the demand and future needs. So if there's any partners that you've seen that you like in this session, then do reach out to them. But I think particularly when it comes to being open-minded, there's so many different routes, so many ways to progress forward. We've got technical education, we've got apprenticeships, and we've got higher education, and just choose what's right for you right now.
Amazing, amazing. Now, I know this question tends to throw some people off, but we hear a lot about internships, we hear a lot about work placements, and I suppose there's a lot of young people that think, oh, well, if I don't get an internship, should I worry about this? Is this going to impact my career? Do you have any advice around that?
Well, I don't know and this is my personal experience, I don't know from any of our partners that wouldn't recruit individuals because they haven't done an internship. And I know that a lot of my peers didn't do internships. The most important thing is to make sure that you have the skills and can demonstrate that you've got the transferable skills. and can show that you can problem solve, that you can work in a team, and you can communicate. And there's many ways of demonstrating that by not having done an internship.
Amazing. But that's such good reassuring advice, because there is that consensus of, if I don't have the experience, I'm not going to get a job. And that puts a lot of strain and worry onto young people nowadays, that, they're not going to get into the career they want because they don't have that experience. But no, really great advice there. Thanks so much. So I suppose, just to finish up, have you got any tips for young people? So in the sense of interviews and sort of getting ready for the sort of the career world?
Things I said before, just make sure you're as informed as possible, and know that if you've done everything to develop yourself, and be ambitious with that. So don't be scared to shout about what achievements you've had and what skills you do own, and be really clear about how these skills can transfer into your career. And finally, I think, is just to bear in mind that this is a journey, and you've got to start the journey somewhere. And nobody in any position, if you were to speak to them, saying, I set out to do this role, but obviously they've begun that journey, and along the way they've secured the roles that they have, like what I'm doing now. So just be bold about that, and be excited to get on that journey.
Oh, that is amazing advice. And I'm sure there's a lot of young people out there who will just be delighted to have this from you today. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for. So for anybody out there to find out a little bit more information on what is coming up, please head to the World Skills UK website. Thanks very much for joining.